What if intuition isn't a gift, but a superpower waiting to be unleashed? Join Katherine Troyer and myself for this special edition of the Happy Hour for the Spiritually Curious podcast. Enjoy these no limits, no boundaries, raw, unfiltered conversations. What if your no isn't rejection, but a sacred redirection from your soul? In this episode of Intuitive Living, Dr. Sandra Marie, myself, and Katherine Troyer explore the spiritual side of saying no, not from fear or guilt, but from fierce self-trust and energetic clarity. Because when you're tuned into your intuition, no isn't a wall, it's a doorway. It's how you protect your energy, preserve your peace, and make space for alignment. Join us as we unpack the power of boundaries, body wisdom, and the beautiful magic that happens when you give yourself permission to choose you. Hey, Katherine.
Hi, I'm so excited about this one.
Yeah. So what's the funniest or weirdest thing you've ever said no to and didn't regret?
I don't know that I have a funny or weird thing that I've said no to. I will say that I've said no to a lot of business stuff in the last few years as I have transitioned more into the energetics of a space rather than just the aesthetics of a space. Have been on that journey for about 4 years. There's a lot of things that I've said no to, the first one being a already very successful business that I was running. But there's been a lot of things that I guess that's probably the most relevant thing for me. I think as of late and in the last few years of like having to just use my own intuitive discernment, even when it was like, well, yeah, I could do it this way to take the money, but it doesn't align with how I want what I want to share with people or even what I believe in. I've had feng shui clients or potential clients ask me to do feng shui a completely different way than what I do it because they were used to something and they couldn't find anyone else. And they're like, well, can't you just learn this way to help me? And that, you know what I mean? And the few of those that I've had have often been very high paying clients that needed a lot of work, but yet they didn't want to work with me in the way that like where my gifts are and how I can help them. And so I think it showed up for me a lot in business in a lot of little micro ways that I'm not sure I could like name stories to, but I will say that in your intro where you talked about making space for alignment, I think that that is a really important point that I think we should talk about. And also how that making space also means that you're probably spending a lot of time alone, wondering what the hell you're doing and why it feels so right in your body, but why it maybe makes no logical sense.
Well, I think that the past year or two, we both have experienced similar situations. I mean, mine wasn't business, it was more personal, but the no was at the crux of what was going on with it. And, there's been talk about that in people's personal health and wellness for years and decades, right? People have programs and things put together, but it I feel like it's not just a practical skill. I feel like it's a spiritual practice. And it goes
Mm,
back to intuition.
yeah,
When you use your intuitive no gets stronger the more you use it.
yeah,
You get more of a comfort level with it versus that defensive no that is rooted in fear or resistance. This kind of no, I think, is rooted in clarity, sovereignty, and knowing what's right for you. So I think it's important to distinguish between the two because more of the focus is on that defensive no.
yeah, I would agree
Um,
with that.
I think the spiritual no doesn't push away, it creates space. That's what we talked. It creates an alignment. It's true. It's life-giving.
Yeah, it creates the void, right? And that's, I think that the void and life giving, right? If you put that in a practical example of a woman growing a baby and giving birth, right? Like the baby
Okay.
grows up in the void, right? You have to have that void to create the space for creation. I think maybe the bigger the thing is that we're trying to create, maybe the more we have to say no, and the more maybe we are asked to say no when it makes logical sense to say yes, right? But it doesn't feel right. Like, I think that intuitive no is a feeling.
Right. And then it's that alignment that you had talked
Mhm.
about. One of the things, though, I think for those who are listening to the show, many of them, if you're intuitive or sensitive, you're an empath, energetically open, you become really tuned into other people's feelings. And historically, saying no can feel like you're letting someone down or causing harm or perhaps interrupting someone's harmony. Where I think a spiritual no, just the opposite, you're creating harmony. Why do you think it's so hard for people to say no?
Well, because I think most people are focused on the external rather than their internal. And when you're so focused on everything that moves around you and everything being external and reacting to everything external, you're not very tuned in here, right? Which is where I think you can give and hear that spiritual no. So if you're not tapped into this and you're not thinking about your internal life in any way, which is I think why getting those spiritual no's and learning how to say those spiritual no's, like I kind of said in the beginning, often gives you a lot of space for solitude, right? Because, like, the more quiet we are, the more we can tap in and tune into ourselves. But I think so many people are still focused on their external reality and trying to make the external fit this internal narrative instead of working on the internal narrative first and seeing the manifestation or whatever you want to call it, the creation of that
I would
externally.
agree. I
Yeah.
th I think you're 100% hitting the nail on the head. The truth is, a yes that violates your intuition is always gonna be more harmful than a truthful aligned no. And honestly, over time, people pleasing dulls your inner compass, and I think we both experienced that. It's a process and it's journey, but once you integrate that into your being, it truly sets you free. Anyways,
Yeah.
that's my experience. You do truly find that sovereignty. Like you said, your body sends you signals. Get discomfort when you're agreeing to things and not using your no for your highest good. The other thing is interesting. I think no opens a lot of doors. Paradoxically, right? Every authentic no is also a yes. A no to burnout is a yes to rest. A no to toxic energy is a yes to peace. I can speak to that personally. It was not a fun experience going through it, but the end result was so worth it. The peace. It's the same thing with a no to obligation is a yes to freedom.
And vice
For
versa. A yes to obligation is a no to freedom,
exactly.
Like thinking about it that way. And often I think we have our yeses and nos mixed
Well,
up.
yes. And you
Mhm.
talked about clients. A no to the wrong client is a yes to alignment. Your no
Yep.
is not a rejection, it's a redirection, right?
Mhm.
For both people. I have a little game to play. If you're up to a little game,
Okay.
let me see if I can find my game. Rapid fire knows
Hmm.
the intuitive edition. See, I even named it.
Okay.
I'm going to throw out some real life situations, and Catherine's going to answer instinctively yes or no. No overthinking, trust your gut. Let's go.
Okay.
Going to a full moon circle, even though you're peopled out.
No.
Taking a last minute client just because they're in crisis.
No, no.
I don't know that I'm buying that one. Um,
That's hard.
yeah. Keeping crystals in your bra all day.
I'm gonna say yes, although I don't keep them in my bra. But if I intuitively pick one up and just feel like, huh, I put it in my pocket, like no questions asked.
Okay. Answering a text while mid-boundary setting journal session.
I want to say no, but I feel like yes, I would totally do that.
Okay. When I was doing this, I'm like, the right answer is supposed to be no, but I would absolutely look at the text too.
Yeah. If my phone's by me and if I see or hear it, yes, I'm probably looking at it.
Yeah. Going to Target just for toothpaste when you're emotionally fragile.
Yes. Especially if I'm emotionally fragile.
Saying yes to a family dinner when your inner child says no.
No,
Booking a retreat that looks aligned but gives you subtle dread.
probably not.
Saging your house because someone on TikTok said your vibe is off.
No.
Saving yes to an opportunity that sounds amazing but feels wrong.
I feel like that would depend on where I'm at. It would depend on the day. Yes or yeah,
Yeah. I
it's a hard
mean,
one.
you just have to be honest with it.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting to think about it like that and just a yes or no.
Yeah.
Without any other context. And maybe that's a good game for us all to play, right, with ourselves when something comes up. Okay, does this feel like a yes or a no? Not, is this a logic yes or no? I think even just that, I'm thinking of that honestly for myself of just another way for me to tap into the energy of my body. What is my body saying? 'Cause that's something that is kind of resurfacing for me right now is like, okay, how are we getting and staying very in tune with the body over the mind, over intellectualizing? How are we grounding and moving things through the body? I started listening to Caroline Miss. Have you read her? So, Anatomy of the Spirit, I have listened to, I've read, and that was like a big thing behind all the chakra work I did between chakras and feng shui but this guy I know introduced me to her advanced energy anatomy. I've listened to chapter 1 like 2 different times. And today I was listening to like the last half of chapter 1 again. It was really interesting how she was talking about the chakra system, your root being where you ground everything in. And it's thinking about as we're co creating an idea or whatever we want to bring into the world, it's, comes in here and it's moving through each one of our chakras, which, okay, yeah, like we kind of know that. But the way she talked about things moving like, when you get to the sacral chakra, it's like that's where you're deciding, am I going to bring this into the root? Because once it gets to the root, it gets connected to the earth, it gets connected into physical form. Or a lot of things will keep in the sacral of like, okay, yeah, I want to do that. Oh, but no, I shouldn't do it because of this. But yes, I should do it because of this. But no. And it's kind of this place where she actually used the words, it's where we have birth, abortion, and creation. And I thought that was so interesting because it's like where that moving it through our chakra systems is where we can decide to abort an idea or a creation or whatever that might be, or we can choose to birth it, or we can choose full creation. But it can get, we can often allow things to get stuck there because of our indecision between, having that more discernment around our spiritual yes or no. And I just thought that was really interesting. I was thinking about it all day, like, oh, I hope something comes up to like weave this into our conversation. I mean, maybe that sounds simplistic and like something you've thought about before, but I never thought about it like that. And it's like once we get it into the root center, It's go time. Like, we've already started the co-creation. It's happening out in the world whether we keep communicating with it or not. We have birthed it. It's out there. It's in co-creation mode. We might not choose to do anything with it, but I was like, "Ugh, okay."
I know, I was just thinking as you were talking, I'm like, "Wow, this is truly profound." Like, very profound. Not it may be simple, but it's very profound.
Yeah, I just thought but I think that that thought of things kind of getting stuck in that sacral center and because of our inability to have this discernment around our spiritual yes and no.
It's a big deal. I think that it's something that people really don't talk about. It's not out there.
Yeah, when
And
it's something that made me think, okay, like now when I'm thinking about doing body work, energy work, I want to focus even more on that sacral, right? Creating
mm,
that really open, fluid channel from sacral to root, right?
yeah.
Because there's that, it could be anything. Oh, well, I really want to make more money in my business. Oh, but here's all the reasons why that might backfire on me. So now it's just that all that energy just sitting in there. For me, I thought it was so profound and so interesting to really think about it that way and give us another tool slash opportunity to have a space where we can kind of like physically and energetically work with the body to help kind of like assist, you know what I mean? Like to clear out energy or anything like that to help get us to more of that clarity and discernment around our yes and no.
Yeah, I think that that is an essential piece of the process, to include the body, because this
Yeah.
is a physical experience. We spend a lot of time, many times in our work or in a podcast like this, talking about our spiritual experiences in the upper chakras and higher energy and evolving, and forget that we are physicality, and those lower chakras have important function to them, and they need to be
Yeah.
used because we are going to experience things as a physical being, even though we're spiritual, because we're having the physical experience.
And I think that's something that's getting lost right now. We're trying to all be so spiritual. I'm just as guilty of this.
Yeah, I agree.
Up until very recently, right? Where it's just, focus on spirituality and getting outside of here and connecting with and it's like, yes, but no. It's kind of learning to be like a channel for that rather than trying to go out and connect with it, maybe.
This experience isn't meant to live out of our bodies, and that's spiritual. The body
Right.
must be incorporated because that is the experience we chose with this.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this Carolyn Mrs. New work, or is this something she had put out? I know she had sort of been off the radar for a while and more recently just put out something new.
I was trying to see if I could find title details. Let me see. Because I'm not even sure that this is like a physical book. It might just be an audiobook. Oh,
Oh,
no. Nope, it's from 2002.
wow. That's
Mhm.
interesting and more relevant now than ever.
I mean, I haven't even made it past the first chapter because I just keep listening to it over and over again and it's been like a couple months since I started listening to it. I just kind of like turn it on whenever. And today I was like, "Oh, you know what? I think I need to listen to that." And that part that I just shared really stuck out to me and I was like, "Wow, that makes so much it just made so much sense and it just felt like so in alignment."
Makes sense. So, for all our listeners out there, would love, love, love for you to share your thoughts on your spiritual no, some experiences that you've had,
Yeah.
some maybe roadblocks that you're having, things that are holding you back, or hey, if you have some secret sauce and something's working awesome for you, share. Please put it in there and share. I would love to have a dialogue in the comments. I would just ask yourself, what has saying no opened up for you in your life? And remember, your no is someone else's cosmic redirection. There's a positive to it. So, Katherine, what are you up to these days and how can folks connect with you?
Yeah, so you can connect with me on TikTok and Instagram at My Home Energetics or just searching my name, Katherine Troyer. And if you want to find out more about how you can start applying home energetics to your space and start to feel some energy shifts in your home, just go to myhomeenergetics.com. And if you want to get in touch with me personally, you can do that through there as well.
Very cool. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, stay tuned in. You got this. And most of all,
most importantly, love loud and live loud.
Thank you. Everyone have a great day.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Wild Soul Gatherings Happy Hour for the Spiritually Curious. To learn more about our guests, please go to our website, wildsoulsgathering.com. We're very eager to hear from our listeners what you thought of the episode, topics you might like us to cover in the future, your thoughts on spirituality, questions you may have. Please feel free to send us an email at wildsoulsgathering@gmail.com. This is your host, Dr. Sandra Marie, sending each of you peace and love. Until we meet again, embrace your wild soul.